BMS degree from the Karnataka. Sir has pursued BMS from Karnataka University, Dharwad with a first class and also MD in IU in the basic principles of Ayurveda from RGHS Bangalore. Sir has completed MSc in clinical nutrition and dietetics from KSO, Mysore with a distinction. Presently, Sir is an editor-in-chief RGHS Journal of Ayush Sciences Bangalore, PG Preclinical member KGHS Kerala. Sir has done 3 collaborative researches, 4 funded researches, 5 edited ebooks. I so we have this. Fortunately, we have this great sir with us as our today's guest speaker, and we'll within few minutes we'll start. We are going to start the session. So I request sir to carry on the session. Question and answer session will be taken at the end. Whoever has the question can raise the hand by clicking the reaction on the screen. Those who react on the screen will be unmuted and they can ask the question. I request to sir to carry out the session.
Sabhayan Namaha. Very good morning to all of you. Vagartha viva samprukto vagartha pratipatte jagataha vande pitarau parvati parameshwarau. Greetings of National Ayurveda Day in advance to everyone. Thanking the organizers, the 2 institutions, the Government Ayurveda Medical College, Bengaluru, as well as the Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, particularly the Samhita, Siddhanta, Sambhasha Parishad of Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad. Now, today, we are going to have a session on the theme that the Ministry of Ayush has given us as far as this year's Ayurveda Day is concerned. I hope my screen is visible. Can anyone confirm?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So the topic that we will be spending time on today will be the planetary health and Ayurveda. Now, Ayurveda is an ancient science, a science which has contributed to every sphere of one's life, and therefore this evolving new science called as planetary health also should have been, the leads at least should have been quoted or mentioned in Ayurveda. We will try to figure out if there are few. So this is actually a new term that we are facing with when we talk about planetary health. Now, specifically, what is planetary health? The first thing we should know it. And as far as this presentation is concerned, we will be talking on these specific issues. We will be trying to know what is planetary health, and we will try to learn it in the context of Loka Purusha Sami Siddhanta of Ayurveda. We will try to connect these similarities that we find out with Loka and the Purusha, the man and the planet. And it is not that we see what we see in Charaka Samhita Sharirasthana or something that we really see in today's life. We will expand the scope of Loka Purusha Sami Siddhanta. Then we try to look into what are the components that determine the climate, that determine the health of the planet, the climate change and its impact and solutions. What are the aspects related to biodiversity and food systems and social equity? These are the 4 aspects of the planetary health. We will try to learn what are they and how they do contribute to the degradation of planetary health. And we will also talk about trying to know the messages that are available in Ayurveda literature. This would be the crux of the presentation. We'll be trying to know all these issues in this session. So going forward, what is planetary health? Now, planetary health is a concept that is recently developed, and point of concern here is it tries to know the relationship between human health and the health of the planet. The underlying message here is, if the planet is healthy, I can be healthy, right? It emphasizes that the well-being of the people is directly tied to the health of Earth's ecosystem. If the nature in which I am living is healthy, I can predict that I will be healthy also, because the environment, the nature, the earth, the ecosystem all have their role as far as the human health is concerned in one or the other way. So the study of that would be known as planetary health. So essentially, planetary health is the health of the planet Earth. If the planet Earth is healthy, then it can predict that my health will be sustainable. So why this came into being in this big way? This is because the idea emerged as a response to these growing environmental challenges, the challenges that we see as per the climate change, the changes in terms of the deforestation, biodiversity loss, the air and the water pollution, the depletion of natural resources, all have advanced in recent years to such an extent that the earth is behaving in a peculiar way. We are seeing the devastating effects. If you have recently read the newspapers, we see the cloudburst occurring in the parts of Jammu and Kashmir. The Ladakh experienced cloudburst leading to so much of calamity. Now, why this all is occurring is because of what we see. The planetary health is at risk. It is because of the climate change. It is because of the man-made deforestation that have significantly contributed to this. Now, when we look into this aspect of the fact that health of the planet is going to decide the health of the man, now, has it been foreseen by our ancestors? Was it envisioned in Ayurveda literature and present in us? Certainly, yes. Now, one of the founding principles of Ayurveda is Lokapurusha Samya Siddhanta. Now, what this Siddhanta is telling us is whatever I see outside is there inside. So the shloka that you might have already learned, any graduate of Ayurveda would have learned the shloka that Purusho ayam loka samhitaha yavanto hi loke murtimanto bhava visheshaha tavantaha purushe yavantaha purushe tavanto loke. So whatever I see outside, I see them inside also. Whatever bhava that are inside, that are outside also, which means that what is there inside my body is there outside in the planet. So any change in the planet will bring about change in me. That's why I consume medicine, which are also Panchabhautika, because I want to bring about the variation in the Panchabhautika dhatu of my Sharira. And therefore, this Loka Purusha Samyata, a relationship between the man and the universe, was envisioned long back by our ancient acharyas, and hence this concept was developed. And the purpose of learning this concept was also said to be Satya Buddhi. Now, what is the Satya Buddhi is talking about? Sarva lokam atmani atmanam cha sarva loke samam anupashyatah Satya Buddhi samutpadyate. Now, what is Satya Buddhi? Satya Buddhi is manifestation of that knowledge where I see myself in the universe and I see universe in myself, which essentially says that I have to understand what is my role in the universe. The universe is big and universe has many components, and one of the component of the universe is human being. So human being, the intelligence of human being has created more devastation to the other creatures on the animal on this planet, and I should know that limitation and lead a life which is conducive to all creatures on this universe, and thereby I can talk about or can help the health of the planet. If this manifestation of knowledge is occurring, we can call this a Satya Buddhi. Satya Buddhi is essentially taking into account leading a healthy life in such a way that I don't disturb the health of the planet. If that is manifesting, we call that is Satya Buddhi, envisioned an outcome of the concept of Loka Purusha Samhita. Now, as a student, you might have learnt about the concept of Loka Purusha Samhita, and these were the similarity as far as our Samhita is concerned. Our Charaka Samhita brought about this concept of Loka Purusha Samya Siddhanta, where I see Prithvi as Murti. Any solid substances in my Sharira would be called as Prithvi, Apa, Kledaha, Tejasa, Santapaha. All these are known to you. These I'm not going to stress on these things which are already known to you. Now, the point of concern over here is, even though these are known, these are added by Charaka in the Charaka Samhita as a symbolic. Now, symbolically, these have been added. Now, with the changed time, we see many such concepts which are out of evolution. We can see many such concepts which we can see the similarity in terms of man and the universe. We will have a glance at some of them. The first thing is, we know it is man and the universe both are made up of same elements. Now, presently, chemically, the science of chemistry has evolved, and we know that we talk the language of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, etc. These are the components of anything per se. So the universe is also composed of some basic stars, planets, cosmic dust. Now, ironically, what is this man, the human cell is composed of, and what the stars, planets are composed of, all are same. So therefore, the composition of man and the universe is pretty same. Now, we learn them in some structures and we learn them in some systems. Now, it is all about system approach that we talk about. Now, man is composed of some intricate systems. It may be digestive system, it may be nervous system, it may be the circulatory system. And the universe is also coming up with its own systems, like the galaxies, like the solar systems, the planetary orbits, the interacting, the evolution, the revolution, the rotation. All these are coming in a structured system. So this is another similarity that I can see with man and the universe. Now, the system is also coming in some layers. When you look into the man, cells are there. The composition of cells will be called as tissues, and the tissues will produce organs, and the organ systems and the whole body. And in the same way, universe is also coming as planets, stars, galaxies, galaxy clusters, and the cosmic web. So therefore, there is a similarity between man and the universe. Cyclic processes. The next term that I want to stress is the process. From the birth to the blossom to the death, we see these are coming as cycles. The man, there is a birth taking place, the growth taking place, the decay is taking place, the death, and all these are coming. Whereas in nature, we see the seasons, right? The spring, where all plants, the flowers, flowering takes place. Summer leads to growth. The autumn leads to decline. So winter leads to death of plants. So this is a cyclic process that I see in man as well as in the universe. Now, interdependence. The next point that I want to stress is the dependence. The man needs nature and the nature needs man. Man needs nature in terms of air, water, nourishment, shelter, sustenance, whereas the nature needs our help because we cannot abuse the nature. We have to be planet resilient. We have to save the nature. We have to conserve the nature. We have to do the reforestation. We have to do the control of the pollution, etc. So point of concern here is both are interdependent. Man needs nature. Nature needs man. Now, the next point is adaptability. Notice adaptability. Adaptability is both the man and the nature have got the nature to adapt to the changing environments. We adapt to the climate changes. We adapt to the changed environment. Our body produces more heat when we are in winter. And those are the things that we see in nature also. The plants, the animals, the ecosystem adapt to survive. So adaptability is another common trait that I can see between the man and the universe. We observe, we assess, we adapt, and thereafter we thrive, a common nature. The balance is another phenomenon that we see as commonality between the man and the nature. We have balance, the inner harmony, which may be mental, physical, emotional. We always try to stay ourselves balanced, and nature also tries to balance itself by the concepts of biodiversity, the healthy ecosystem. When there is a drought, the nature creates clouds and rainfall occurs. So balance is another common feature that we can see with reference to man and the universe. Rhythm and recycling. The recycling, for example, you may have seen the water recycling. The water becomes the clouds, water of the ocean becomes the clouds, cloud condensation occurs, the rainfall occurs, rainfall again through the streams merges with the ocean itself. So the rhythm and recycling, which may be the tides, moon phases, day night in the nature, can be represented by the heartbeat, breath, the sleep cycle, the cellular renewal is what we generally talk about, the compost formation in the nature, where when we a manure, a waste product of any animal is converted into an energy, and thereafter a new plant grows, and we again thrive on the very vegetables, very plants that are outcome of those composts. So rhythm and recycling is another aspect of the man and the universe. And healing and regeneration, this is important because the planet is already suffering heavily and it needs some healing and regeneration, which we can help do it. Wounds heal, illness recede, and the mind, the spirits mend. So that capacity is there for the human body, and like that, the forests have got the capacity to regrow, rivers cleanse themselves, ecosystems rebound, and reforestation occurs, greenery sets in, even however man makes the calamities. So these are some of the points on which we see the similarity as far as the man and the universe is concerned. Now, keeping this in mind, when we have the similarity between the man and the universe, so essentially man can bring about the changes in the environment also. Now, just because the man's body is also changed by the environment, because whenever we talk about any diseases, our cause are ahara janidana or the vihara janidana. Both are connected to environment itself. So therefore, the bottom line that we have understood until now is it is Satya Buddhi, which knows that the planetary health is very essential for the health of the mankind. So the planetary health has to be given the due importance, and the planetary health has to be maintained. Now, with this background, when we look into the planetary health, now, what are the key components of planetary health? Now, what are the key components that can bring about some change in the planetary health are sustainable development, climate change, biodiversity conservation, food systems, social equity. We will learn the meaning of each of these words and their impact on the planetary health, and what Ayurvedic literature tell about, and how we can reduce their burden on the climate. So planetary health, of course, it's not a subject of Ayurveda directly, right? Because it is not a subject of health science itself directly, because it is an interdisciplinary approach where the environmental scientists, where the public health experts, where the economists and social science experts come and solve the issues related to the health of the planet, because it is not that a single person can bring about changes. A society will bring about changes, or the government policies can bring about the changes. So therefore, it is an interdisciplinary approach that one should remember. So therefore, when we talk about sustainable development, so what is sustainable development? No, we all are in the era of having a developed nation. Now, this development means we want to become wealthy, we want to accumulate more amenities, we want to have the transport system for everyone, we want to have a car for everyone, everyone want to have a lavish lifestyle, a big home. And these are the requirements of everyone in present scenario. Now, in the process of accumulating all these, we should make sure that we should not create so much of burden on the planet. Eco-friendly development, a development which is not going to harm the society, the societal ecosystem, the environment. If this is done, then that development will be called as sustainable development. That can help in a growth which where everyone will be happy, because we will soon see that the development itself has caused the climate change. So therefore, sustainable development is the development of everyone in such a way that the climate or the environment or the ecology or the biodiversity are not disturbed. If that is happening, we will call it as a development without causing any assault on the health of the planet. Now, what is climate change? The climate change, many of you would have already known it, is the change of the climate, and the change of climate means the change that is caused due to the deforestation, due to the biodiversity loss, due to the air pollution, due to the depletion of natural resources. What has happened with this is this have all led to something called as global warming. Now, global warming is devastating to the entire planet. Now, the earth temperature is increasing. That is what it means. Now, what are the key causes for this climate change? The key causes for the climate change, the first one is greenhouse gas emissions. Now, anyone who is aware of the current affairs would be knowing that the greenhouse would be knowing a simple phenomenon that sun emits radiation, which the earth receives. Ironically, if the earth also has to emit the same radiation back, if that is occurring, then the earth can maintain its cold nature. If the earth, like a black body, is absorbing the radiation that is coming from the sun, then earth is going to become warm, and this we call as global warming. Now, the hurdle for the solar radiation to be emitted back to the solar system by the earth is greenhouse gas emissions. Now, how does it occur? The most significant driver of the climate change is increased greenhouse gases. Now, greenhouse gases are the gases which you will find on the Earth atmosphere, which will prevent the solar energy, which will prevent the solar radiation going back to the solar system. So they will hold the radiation within themselves, causing the warming of the earth. The gases are the carbon dioxide, the methane, the nitrous oxide, the fluorinated gases. These gases are referred to the drivers of the global warming. And we know in the Janapada Dvamsa Adhyaya, we learned about the fact that it is Dushta Vayu which is going to bring about mass destruction. And Vaivadinam Yad Vaigunyam Utpadyante Tasya Moolam Adharma. Now, Vayu Vaigunyatva is also because of the Adharma. What are the Adharma that we are doing? We will soon know them. So essentially, greenhouse emission is primary cause. Greenhouse emission is emission of carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and fluorinated gases. How do we emit the carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is coming out from simple way from our own breathing. The more the plant life, the more the carbon dioxide. More the animal life, the more the carbon dioxide. If the population increases, the carbon dioxide increases. If the poultry increases, the carbon dioxide increases. That's how it works. So carbon dioxide is because of burning the fuel, the petrol, the gasoline, the diesel. If they are burned, they produces the carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is produced because of transportation, because of deforestation. Deforestation is a culprit here because the plant absorbs the carbon dioxide and gives the oxygen. If the forest is not there, then the carbon dioxide burden will be more on the climate, on the planet. The next one is methane. Methane is a production of most of our waste. our waste, the excreta of various animals produces the methane, and particularly it is there in when we talk about the septic tanks, etc. The burying of the human waste underground will produce the methane, so which is also a burden, and the which is also increasing because of the explosion of the population itself. The nitrous oxide, what is this nitrous oxide? It is because of the use of synthetic chemicals and the pesticides we use for farming. Now, our agriculture is dependent on many pesticides, and the pesticides will produce nitrous oxide. The nitrous oxide is going to lead to global warming. The last one is fluorinated gases. These are the gases which are produced out of our fridges, our refrigerators, our air conditioners, which are also producing the greenhouse effects. Now, the greenhouse effects, therefore, is one of the primary cause for climate change. The second cause is deforestation, which I already mentioned, that deforestation is cutting of trees because the population is increasing. They need land, they need space to live. So we are encroaching into the forest and making a good living. And this is the either for agriculture, either for urbanization, or either for we require wood for our own amenities. We want sofas, we want comforts, we want rosewood, we want teak wood, and all this has led to deforestation. Deforestation means more carbon dioxide because the plants absorb carbon dioxide and produce oxygen. That is not occurring if the forest itself is reduced. Now, the third point is industrialization. Now, industrialization is because the industry is produced so much of waste. The waste that is generated from the industries, which is again the gases of the like of carbon dioxide, which are going to cause the greenhouse effect. Along with that, the industrialization will produce the water waste, which will bring about water pollution, and thereafter that also assaults the humanity itself. The fourth and another important is agriculture. Now, this agriculture, of course, we need food and we need to cultivate. But how does agriculture has impacted the global warming or the climate change is one of the thing is livestock farming. We use cattle, we use cows and sheep, and they produce huge amount of waste, and that waste produces methane. Methane is going to cause the global warming. This is how the livestock farming is causing the climate change. Now, the rice cultivation. Now, the rice, rice is cultivated in a paddy, in a field which is having water. So this is known as flooded field. Flooded field produce more amount of methane, and therefore this is again a threat to the climate, threat to the planetary health itself. Soil management, another important aspect. Now, fertilizers that we use are going to reduce the greenhouse gases, and that is another aspect. Land use changes. Now, this is converting forest into agricultural land is also one of the agricultural cause that brings about greenhouse gases, and greenhouse gases lead to global warming. Now, this is how the agriculture is impacting the global health. The primary reason for all this is again the population. The population is increasing in multiple fold, and the population needs food, and therefore the agricultural industry has to grow, and the growth of agriculture industry itself is causing the concern to the planet. And the next one is the waste management. The way we manage the waste is also an important aspect. When waste management is not properly done, waste management means we want to recycle the waste. If the recycling is not done, then that is another concern. The waste management again is coming in the aspects of biodiversity aspects. We will spend more time on that. Now, when we look into all this, again, it is asat karma that the man is doing. it is the asat karma that the man has done. Man has bypassed the environmental equilibrium. When we talk about the population increase, the population increase should go proportionately with respect to all the animals on this planet, which is not the case. The number of species is increased only in terms of humanity. All other animals are on the decline. So therefore, it is the adharma, the social, the environmental harmony is disturbed by the man's development itself. Now, the next point is transportation. Now, this is a big thing. Now, the moment the the fossil fuel in the form of oil and natural gas were discovered by the mankind, back again during the era of the probably the 18th and the 19th century, when the oils, the petroleum, the gases, the diesel, etc., were brought into time, the transportation was very conventional, and that was an eco-friendly transportation. Now the transportation is, we need petrol, we need diesel, we need so much of energy is taken, and all this transportation is producing so much amount of carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide transportation produced by maybe an airline industry, maybe a locomotive industry like the train, the buses, all these produce huge amount of carbon dioxide, and which is going to bring about the global warming. So energy production, again, this is nothing other than the burning of fossil fuel. Now, this is because the coal is burned to produce electricity, particularly in Indian subcontinent. You will see the Europeans, etc., have moved away from the coal, we should know. But in India, still the coal is used for producing electricity. And again, coal mining is going to cause a huge amount of carbon dioxide. Coal burning is also going to cause huge amount of carbon dioxide. And the pollution, the chemical releases, we should know the various human activities like the industrial process, release of all these chemicals, particularly into the water, etc., is producing a threat to the planet. And of course, the change in the land use we already discussed. Now, point of concern, Acharya Charaka uses the word Sendriyam Chetanam Dravyam Nirendriyam Achetanam. Now, what does it mean? We mean that anything which has got Indriya is alive, and anything which doesn't have Indriya is non-alive. Now, you might, when you were in your high school, particularly these UG students who have joined here, now when you were in high school, you might have heard a word called as organic and inorganic. Anything which has got carbon, will call it as organic. Anything which doesn't have carbon, will call it as inorganic. That is as simple as that. Now, the same is, what is the meaning of the word Sendriya? Sendriya means organic, in the sense that human body is having many organs. One among the organs is our Indriyas. So organic, when we talk about organic, my purpose is human body is composed of liver, spleen, etc. Those are my organs. Now, what are they made up of? They are again made up of, now the basic molecules are the same, the hydrogen, the oxygen, and the carbon. Whenever the carbon comes, the word Sendriya comes, whether it is organic in terms of your chemistry, or whether it is Sendriya in the language of Ayurveda. So therefore, the carbon is the culprit here. The more amount of carbon I use, I am causing global warming. The more amount of carbon that I am producing through my waste, through my excreta, that is also causing global warming. So this is what we mean by Sendriyam Chetanam Dravyam Nirendriyam Achetanam. Along with that, we know that Dushta Vayu is going to cause so much of concern, and this Dushta Vayu is nothing other than our greenhouse gases. Tatra Vatam Evam Vidham Anarogyakaram Vidyat. This Vayu is said to be Anarogyakara, because this is going to cause the discomfort in the planetary health, and discomfort planetary health will disturb the human health. Now, so the nature has been said, Yatartu Rutu Vishamam, Ati Stimitam, Ati Ushnam, Dhomopahatam. If you look into, I have picked only a few words from that shloka. So it is Rutu Vishama. Obviously, the what we call as climate change is bringing about the variation in the Rutus. And it is stimita. Of course, it is stimita. That's why these are not eliminated. These gases are not going away, and that's the reason why the global warming is occurring. This carbon dioxide, if you know, can the carbon dioxide that is coming from my breath may be there in the climate for nearly 200 years. So we need plants so that the carbon dioxide is absorbed. If deforestation is continued, then obviously the Vayu will be Atistimita and Ati Ushna. Obviously, this is because the amount of radiation that is coming from the sun is being retained by these gases, and therefore these are not again eliminated through the very solar system from where they are coming. So therefore, the globe is getting warm. So Ati Ushna. So these are the parallels that I can draw from the Dushtavayu context of Vadakalakali Adhyaya with the global warming, which is caused by the greenhouse gases. Now, the consequences of climate change is rising temperature. Now, rising temperature is a big concern. Now, 1 degree rise in temperature will bring about devastation in terms of the globe. Now, rising temperature would lead to increased sea level. Now, we are the people living in tropical countries. We don't have much of this experience. Now, the point of concern here is rising temperature would lead to melting of glaciers. Now, glaciers are there in the mountains. The glaciers are there in, for example, the ice which is there in the Antarctica and Arctic. Antarctica, which is another continent. Imagine if this rising temperature melts the ice in the Antarctica, which would lead to increased sea level, which would lead to increased sea level, increased water. Increased water means the entire coastal part of the globe or various countries would be inundated. Now, cities like Mumbai, like the Mangalore, like the Calcutta, which are there on the coastal line, if one meter of sea level increase means those cities would be inundated. They would disappear. They won't be there. Now, if the climate change is going to continue in this way, we may see the coastal cities being completely inundated or submerged in the sea. So that is the impact of the sea level rise. Now, that is the impact of sea level rise. Remember, increased sea level water again leads to increased clouding, increased condensation, and increased rainfall. Now, remember, rainfall is what may not occur the way we want it. Now, that itself has led to the cloudbursts that we saw recently in Jammu Kashmir, in Uttarakhand. Cloudburst killed 18%, cloudburst killed 60 people. We have seen this news very recently. The cause is pretty simple: the global warming, the rise in temperature, rise in sea level, and the altered or obstructed or an abnormal way of water cycle. Now, as I said, would lead to extreme weather events. There may be drought for continuous period. There may be rainfall for continuous period. Another important aspect coming here is the acidification of oceans. Now, this carbon dioxide in excess would make the sea water acidic. Now, acidification of ocean water is a threat to the marine ecosystem, marine environment. The fishes would survive. Variety of fishes are there. Marine life is very essential for the planetary health. Biodiversity would be altered. So, ocean acidification affect the marine life. The fishes would die. Fishes would disappear. Now, this impact on biodiversity, obviously, it will have a big impact on various aspects of the plants, The animals, the algae, fungi, they may disappear. Already many are disappeared. That's why we heard here the words like endangered species, endangered animals. They were there at some time abundantly there. Now we don't find those animals. So the word endangered is certainly an aspect connected to biodiversity. Health impact, obviously, the vector-borne diseases are going to increase. The diseases like malaria, the dengue will increase as a consequence of climate change. Now, this is the one of the important aspect of climate change. Now, which has been long back identified by our own acharyas and said, Prakriti bhutasya khalvasya loke charataha karmani imani bhavanti. The Vayu in its normal course will do these things. What are they? Dharani, dharana. The Vayu, it is the Prakrita karma of Vayu to do the dharan of the dharani. Earth itself is supported by the Vayu. Jwalano jwalanam. It gives the fuel to the fire. Now, Aditya Chandra Nakshatra Grahagananam Santanagati Vidanam. Now, Vayu is going to set all these in their movement. Now, listen, there may be a situation where they may be disturbed, because we know the fact that it is the stars, the death of a star, which will produce the various gases. Various gases, when they come nearer to the earth, when they enter into the planet atmosphere, and when they start settling on the earth crust, you see the production of various other elements, the minerals, the ores, etc. The source of everything is the death of a star, one should know. So that is, if affected, certainly will bring about the change in the planet. Srishtishtha meghanam, that is the normal function of Vayu. Apam visargaha, rainfall. Pravartanam srotasam, the proper water in various rivers. Then pushpa phalanam cha abhinivartanam, pollination occurs through the air. If air is contaminated, if the greenhouse gases are there, then the pollination will not occur. Then there won't be no proper rutus, right? Dhatu mana sanstana viktihi. Dhatu here is various minerals, metals, etc. We want them to be available also. So this is what in Vatakalakali Adhyaya of Charaka Samhita Acharya Charaka says, the role of any Vayu. Vayu here is the climatic air, right? Vayu here is the climatic air which is polluted by the greenhouse gases, and greenhouse gases prevent the Vayu from functioning normally, and therefore Vikrita Vayu Lakshana would be set in, and which will be coming like this. What are they? These are directly the impact of planetary changes. These are directly the impact of climate changes. Shikhari, Shikhira, Avamathanam. Now, what does it occur? Now, the mountains will collapse. The mountains are collapsing because of these greenhouse gases itself. Now, Utpidanam Sagarana. Utpidana of Sagara, the tides will become bigger. Right, tides will become bigger because of global warming. Udvartanam Sarasaha. Rivers will flow in a normal direction. This is because of global warming itself. Pratisaranam Apaganam. Akampanam Bhume. Now, Bhumikampa, the earthquake, is an outcome of the global warming itself. Then, now look, Nihara Nirlada Pamsu Sikata Matsya Bheka Uraga Kshara Rudhira Ashma Shani Visargaha Vyapadanam Shanamrutanam. So all this ecosystem, the biodiversity will be lost if there is Vayu Dushti, and Vayu Dushti I am referring to greenhouse gases. Now, greenhouse gases production is the Dushti of Vayu that I can see in the climate. So Rutu will not be there. There will be no proper growth of plants. Bhutanam Chopasargaha, I already said there is vector-borne diseases will be more in future. So that is because that is what Acharyas have said as Bhutanam Chopasargaha. Now, these are the impact of climate change. The climate change is because of global uh, the uh, the greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases lead to global warming. Greenhouse gases is dushta vayu lakshana as per Ayurveda. Going further, what can be done? In simple steps, we will learn what can be done. We can bring about, I mean, these things are promoted by the government in a big way. We will transition ourselves into renewable energy. We will make use of solar, wind energies, etc. So we may buy an EV. We may go for a public transport instead of driving our own car. We will talk about energy deficiency. I try to reduce my energy consumption. I will save electricity. I will save water. I will talk about reforestation. I will use minimal amount of paper. I will not go on eating those which are not grown in my homeland. So these are some of the things that I can do to bring about some change in the in the climate, which is going to increase the health of the planet. Now, many things are there. For example, I said solar is one thing, wind energy is another thing, electronic EV is there, electronic vehicles are coming in big way, or I can go for public transport, which will reduce my emission of carbon dioxide from my car, my bike. So these are some of the things. I will save water. I will. So these are some of the things that can be done as far as controlling the greenhouse gases is concerned, which I refer to as Dushta Vayu. Now, the second aspect of this planetary health is the aspects related to biodiversity. Now, what does biodiversity means? Right? We listed 4 aspects. The first was climate change. We'll gone through climate change and how does the climate change impact and what does climate change refer to from an Ayurveda perspective. Now we shall go to the second aspect, that is biodiversity. Now, what is biodiversity? Now, biodiversity refers to variability of life on Earth, which talk about all living organisms in an ecosystem. It includes plants, it includes animals, fungi, bacteria, and every microorganisms. Remember, man is not the sole owner of this planet. Planet belongs to each of these. Each plant has got an equal right. Each animal has got an equal right. Each fungi has to survive. Each bacteria has to survive. Each microorganism has also its own space in this planet. They also have their claim. They also have their right, and we need to give their due right. So the biodiversity essentially talks about giving respect to each life on this planet. Ironically, man's development, the growth, has been at the expense of all other animals and the plants. That is the issue which we talk about, loss of biodiversity. Biodiversity loss is a concern for health of the planet. How it is a concern? We will look into it. Now, biodiversity is crucial for maintenance of healthy ecosystem, and biodiversity is a risk because of air pollution. Air pollution takes away the life of many plants. Water pollution also takes away the many lives. So biodiversity can be maintained by purifying the air by water purification. Now, pollination of crops and wild plants, this requires biodiversity because the cross pollination will again produce the various flowers, etc., which are essential. Now, climate regulation is very essential for biodiversity. We learned how climate can impact soil fertility. Soil fertility is lost because of the chemicals, the pesticides, the synthetic chemicals and the pesticides that we are using in cultivation. Medicinal resources, because if biodiversity is lost, most of the medicinal plants also will be lost. So we need medicinal plants. because the population is also on the rise, and therefore medicinal plants are also very much essential. Food sources, to have a variety of food sources. We don't want to depend only on some of the food sources. We want to experience all the source naturally that the planet Earth is giving. So biodiversity is essential. Cultural, because most of the festivals are also connected to the biodiversity itself. For example, we celebrate Yugadi on Vasanta, the biodiversity is changed. And like that, many festivals are also connected to the, for example, the Bihu, the Pongal, all the harvesting season. We have festivals. So it has got cultural value and recreational value, because we want to enjoy the nature. We want to go to waterfalls. We want to go to gardens. We want to go to hill stations. All these are part of recreational value, that biodiversity is important for us. Biodiversity is important. Therefore, biodiversity has to be maintained. So what are the basic challenges for biodiversity? The challenges for biodiversity is the habitat destruction and fragmentation. Now, habitat destruction is, again, because we bring about deforestation because we want to build home. You know, recently in the last year we saw something occurred in Wayanad district of Kerala, where a river itself led to the devastation. This is because of man has encroached to the forest. Right? Forests are the place we should allow, we should not touch. So deforestation, cutting the forest for human dwelling or for agriculture, is going to bring about a threat to the biodiversity. Fragmentation of ecosystem. Now, what does it mean? It means that I break the forest into smaller patches and survive. That is, a big Western Ghat is there. I will bring about some bifurcation between two patches, and in between I'll have human activity, and that will again bring about the destruction of the forest, and that's what we call as fragmentation. Now, the next challenge to the biodiversity is the climate change itself. Climate change, we already spent time on climate change. Climate change will bring about disturbances in flowering, disturbances in some species will be disappeared. We know many species are already disappeared. Sometime there was something called as dinosaur also existed, which doesn't exist now. So all this is because of climate change that can occur. The next threat for biodiversity is pollution, which is chemical pollution, air pollution, water pollution, and the plastic waste. Pollution is a big plastic is such a waste that we have to be very cautious, because it is not going to be it is something that is going to stay in the climate, in the environment for long. Plastic waste is a threat to the marine life, and therefore the pollution is one of the important aspects which will hurt the biodiversity. So, which has been said by Acharya Charaka as the Udaka Dushti in Janapada Dhammasavimani Adhyaya. Udakam tu khalu atyartha vikrita varna rasa sparsham kleda bahulam apakranta jalachara vihangam upakshena jaleshai. Look what he is telling. Apakranta jalachara. Now, if plastic waste is generated and the marine life is affected, marine ecosystem is affected, then there won't be fishes. Jalachara won't be there. So fish ecosystem will be disturbed, and therefore biodiversity threat will come. Vihanga, the various birds will disappear from the environment. Already we know in the urban cities, the sparrow we rarely see. This is because of the radiation which is emitted by the mobile towers. Now we can see sparrow only in the villages. So therefore, this pollution is bringing about the threat to the biodiversity. Biodiversity means we need all plants, we need all animals on this planet. In extinction of anything is going to hurt the health of the planet. Now, the next point is over exploitation. Now, overexploitation is overfishing, extreme hunting, illegal wildlife. Now, extreme fishing, again, marine life is affected, hunting, animal life is affected, which were rampantly allowed until recently. Now, we have some laws that we cannot hunt the wildlife. Poaching is also illegal these days. You might have heard about something. A famous film star Salman Khan was a complaint was filed recently on him for hunting a deer. A Bishnoi group in the state of Rajasthan was very angry on this act. Now, these are some of the things that were very rampant these days. Now, without being noticed, they may be continued in present day society also. So, over exploitation has to be curbed. Now, unsustainable logging. Now, logging, as I already said, it is cutting the plant for making the articles essential for human life. For example, a rosewood sofa, a teak wood door, all these are needed, and so plants are cut and plants are exploited. That is going to be called as the logging. Harvesting of natural resources. So these overexploitation is one of the reason which will bring about the loss to the biodiversity. Now, invasive species is there. We'll not talk about this. Here, I'll only stress on agricultural expansion. Now, monocultures. Now, another important aspect. Because of our craving for cash crops, we are falling into the trap of monoculture. What does monoculture means? I grow only one plant in my entire field for next 5 years. For example, in North Karnataka, you may see chili growers. The chili is grown rampantly over a period of 5 years. The land is taken on lease by a farmer, and he will cultivate chili for 5 years. After that, he will hand it over, and the land will become absolutely infertile and will not be useful. Now, this is a threat to the biodiversity, because we want more plants, we want more species to thrive on this planet, and therefore we need to do the crop rotation. Now, the diseases are also a concern as far as biodiversity is concerned. Okay, when we talk about biodiversity issues, where I can see in my Charaka Samhita, that is all about the Desha. Right? Desham punaha prakriti vikriti varna gandha rasa sparsham kleda bahulam upasrishtam sarisrapa vyala. Now look, if the biodiversity is disturbed, we may see a disproportionate increase or disproportionate decrease of these animals, these life. Mashaka, there may be insects on increase. Makshika may be increase. Now, increase of these in particular in a place would lead to the diseases itself. Now, Dhumra Pavanam, again, it's an emission of greenhouse gas itself. Then the people themselves, this is a context, the people themselves would again lead to the loss of Satya, Lajja, Achara, and they would leave. They would go for another place to dwell. Ironically, we are in a place where we can't go anywhere, because in the past it could occur, because there were many places which were unexplored and they were not inhabited. But because today every land on earth has been converted into habitable, and therefore we have only one planet where we can live. So therefore we're not in a position to leave this planet and go elsewhere and stay and make a living. So this is the biodiversity aspect. And look, if the biodiversity is affected, then that would also lead to Ulkapata, Nirghata, Bhumikampa. All these are the climate change impact only. So the climate change, biodiversity are interconnected. which are implicit in Charaka Samhitas, either in Vatakalakaliya Adhyaya or in Janapada Dhvamsa Vimaniya Adhyaya. Now, another important aspect of biodiversity is the emission of carbon dioxide that we learned in greenhouse gases is one of the important cause for present day malnourishment. Now, what does it mean? We know the fact that present day there is iron deficiency, the deficiency of zinc, etc., is assigned to lack of these in the food that we consume. Now, why these are lacking in the food that we consume? If we ask this question to the scientists are of opinion that in the past, we had abundant of iron and zinc in our food. Now, the amount of iron and the zinc in our food in the same species is less. This is because these species now host the carbon dioxide. The increased carbon dioxide lead to decreased micronutrients in our plant. Now, this was also long back foreseen in the Janapada Dhvamsa Vimaniya Adhyaya, where Yuge Yuge Dharmapadaha was said, and in that context itself, Acharya Charaka says, Aushadhis also would leave their Rasaguna Vire Vipaka over a period of time, and that is what is happening. The potency of medicinal plants is lost. The potency of food plants is also lost, and this is progressive. And the cause for this is the climate change and the biodiversity issues. Now, this was said in this context, Adi Kalehi Adi Sutta Samojasa Ati Vipula Ati Vimala Vipula Prabhavaha. So, in the Adi Yuga, the man itself was like a god. He did not had Lobha, Krodha, Shoka, and he was having good amount of strength. His physical, mental strength were good. He did not suffer from any diseases. And like that, the plant, the environment, the society, everything was perfect that time. But over a period of time, Tasyantar Dhanat, Yugavarsha Pramanasya Padahrasaha, Prithivyadesh Gunapada Pranasho Abhut. Prithvi, etc., started losing 1/4 of their guna. If the Prithvi loses its guna, from where we get the nutrients? So plant also will start losing their sneha, rasa, virya, vipaka, prabhava. Therefore, when our ancestor says, when we consumed food, our food was full of nutrients. Now the nutrients are not there in our food. This is because of two aspects, the climate change and the biodiversity. Now, the measures to conserve biodiversity, as a simple man, I may not have much role to be played. We have the national parks. We have Banerghatta National Park, for example. We have Bandipur Wildlife Reserve. I'm quoting examples. These are the policies that the government can bring about. Sustainable farming, I reduce the pesticide use, I reduce the chemical use, I come to organic farming, and I can bring about some rules as far as the biodiversity is concerned. That is, I will not allow the train track to be put on the forest. I will not allow road to be constructed in a mountain. So if these laws are there, then we can bring about conservation of biodiversity. Now, some of the other factors of biodiversity is fishing practices. In terms of fishing, I can limit fishing. I can have a marine protected areas where no fishing will be allowed in some beaches. I can bring about some policies. And most important among all these, raising awareness and education, particularly in Ayurveda colleges, because Ayurveda curriculum doesn't include these aspects of education, because this Ayurveda curriculum is, of course, is a very systematic and specific aspect. But the concern that the entire mankind is facing somehow has to be brought to the awareness of Ayurveda student itself, because they are going to handle the patients, they are going to treat the patients, they are going to prescribe the medicines, maybe they are going to prepare the medicines also. If they are going to prepare the medicines, they should be aware of the carbon emission, etc. Now, plastic is a big issue. Okay. So these are some of the things that a man can do to sustain the biodiversity and to stop the biodiversity loss. So reducing personal carbon footprints. So I will use less energy, I will use less petrol, I will use less, I will go for public transport, I will reduce my electricity usage, I will, whenever I go out of room, I will turn off my fan, etc. These are some of the small tips that a common man can do to save the biodiversity. Now, we have two more points. We will quickly run through these. Food system. The food system is an important aspect these days. What is food system? Food system means a system where the food is produced, food is processed and packed, distributed, where it is consumed, where waste is disposal. It's entirely about Ashtahara Vidhi Vidhi Vishesha Ayatana that we talk about. And the Ahara Parinamakara Bhava, that is when we talk about consumption and waste and disposal. Now we will, how does it cause an issue for climate health? We will look into. Now, food production is going to cause greenhouse gases. Because of increased population, the food production has to be increased, and increased food production means increased livestock, increased cattle, increased farming. Increased farming means increased methane and increased carbon dioxide. Now, in farming, synthetic fertilizers and pesticides are used, which also produce carbon dioxide. The food increased production means increased cultivable land, which leads to deforestation. So, which would lead to carbon dioxide. Food mile. This is another important term. Now, this is a term that we know these days, that an apple comes to Bangalore from Kashmir. Now, food has traveled that miles from Kashmir to Bangalore. Now, in the process of transportation of this food, lot of carbon dioxide is produced because transportation has come into picture. Now, this transportation produces greenhouse emissions. The deforestation, land usage, water usage, and the pollution, biodiversity loss, food waste. Food waste is another important aspect that is going to cause the planet health, because the production of food has taken so much of carbon, and all that carbon would be, if not used properly, coming in a big way as a waste. It again produces the carbon imprint on this planet. Soil degradation, health impact. So these are some of the issues. Am I audible?
Sir, not correctly audible.
Okay, I have a power breakdown, which is making me switch to phone. Okay, until now I wrote on my laptop. Now I will proceed with my phone. Now, till the time I get my Wi-Fi back, let me do an extempo presentation itself. Okay, what I was talking about is is how does food system, how do we can contribute to, as far as the food system not being a culprit for global warming, is reducing food waste or going to plant-based food. Now, this is it's not a simple point per se. Converting to vegetarianism is one of the significant contributions that the present generation can make, because for a non-vegetarian food, the amount of carbon that has been taken is too huge. An animal is fed on again plant. The plant it eats, it converts itself into so much of protein, etc., and the carbon that it has consumed is huge. And thereafter, a man consumes a non-vegetarian food. Again, a huge amount of energy is consumed, huge amount of carbon is consumed, and huge amount of carbon is generated also. So therefore, there is a statement. I was listening to a podcast, and the person, an expert in the climate health, mentioned that if the entire population of the world turns into vegetarian, 50% of climate health can be restored. So to such an extent, converting ourselves to a plant-based diet can bring about changes. Then promoting sustainable fisheries, etc. There, what I will do is, I'll try to share my screen on phone itself. Okay, some issues are there also. So what we have learned until now is, we learned about the aspects of what is a planet health, what are the components of planet health. Planet health components we learned as climate change and biodiversity and the food issues. We learned how the climate change is occurring and how the climate change can be controlled, and how the issues of climate change, particularly the greenhouse gases, were available in Ayurveda literature. Then we also learned about biodiversity aspects, and we learned about food systems. Now, since I'm unable to share my screen, I will just run through the leads, particularly that are there in Charaka Samhita in the context of the Sadvrutta, etc., which are Agnim Upacharet. One should worship the Agni. One should be very, this is a small sentence which has got a big impact. We should be very concerned about the energy consumption. Our energy consumption should be minimized. Whether it is petrol, diesel, electricity, we should reduce it. Na kula chayam upasi. This is another sadvrata. One should not stay at the banks of the river. This is important because the cloudburst took away the life of so many because they went and stayed there. This was not required. We will live in a place which is eco-friendly, which is convenient. Na, there are two terms. Na bhumim vilikhet, na loshtam mrudniyat. These are coming in the Sadvrata of Indriyopakramaniya Adhyaya of Charaka Samhita. Na bhumim vilikhet, na loshtam mrudniyat. Na bhumim vilikhet. I will not do land mining. I will not do mining to such an extent that I will create a threat to the ecosystem, the environment itself. I will not na lostam mridniyat. I will not disturb the mountains. I will not touch the mountains. I'll leave the mountains as they are because they are going to maintain my health. Na chindyat trinam. I will not go in for deforestation. Now, these are the terms that I am using, which are there in Charaka Samhita in the context of Sadvrata Indriyopakramaniya, which are planet friendly. Now, therefore, what I do is I'll remember the fact that Sukhartha Sarva Bhutana Mataha Sarva Pravrittaya Sukham cha Navina Dharmat Tasmat Dharma Paro Bhavet. So my activity will be in the Sukha of Sarva Bhuta. Sarva Bhuta, this entire universe is a Bhuta Grama. Sarva Bhuta means not only the animals, all the plants also. My way of living will be friendly to the biodiversity. I will be dharmikaha. I will only bhaktya kalyana mitarani sevete taradurakaha. I will make friends with only good people. That means I will make everyone good. Then I will not do, there is a dasha pranayatana coming as himsa steya anyatha kamam. So I will not do any himsa on any animals, on any plants. On the contrary, I will see everything as myself. Atmavachadatam pashyeda kita pipilikaanapi. I will give due respect to all creatures. I will give due respect to the kita pipilika. I will treat themselves as my life. So therefore, I will behave as sarva pranishu bandhuhutaha syat. With this behavior, I will maintain the biodiversity. I will become upakara pradhanaha syad apakara paraihi aparo. I will be friendly with everyone, thereby I will be friendly with the entire planet. Naikaha sukhihi. If I am achieving something that is going to bring happiness only to me, that is not going to be happiness at all. My happiness is dependent on the happiness of the people around me. Then I will be data. Now, the most important aspect is the bottom line of everything is coming in Charaka Samhita as Naro Hitahara Vihara Sevi Samikshakari Visheshva Saktaha Data Samasatya Paraha Kshamavan Aptopa Sevi Sabhatya. If I have a control on my food, I will reduce the carbon emission. If my activities are nature friendly and I'm thinking what is the impact of all my action beforehand itself, I will be taking care of the nature itself. With these inputs, we have come to the end of this presentation. The planetary health is at risk, and the planetary health is at risk because of biodiversity aspects and the climate change. Change can be controlled by following the Sadvrata of our own Charaka Samhita, and the issues are addressed in nutshell in our own Vata Kala Kaliyadhyaya and Janapada Vamsa Vimaniyadhyaya. So we have come to the end of presentation. Pooja, you can take it forward.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your knowledge regarding the planetary Earth and Ayurveda. So, on the behalf of organizing committee, it's my privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks for all. First and foremost, I express my deep gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Anand sir, for delivering such a thought-provoking lecture on planetary health and Ayurveda. Your insights have beautifully enlightened the timeless wisdom of Ayurveda and its relevance to global health and Ayurveda. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And next, I thank two main organizing committee, that is Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad and Government Ayurveda Medical College Bangalore, for their constant support, encouragement in making this event possible and successful. And next, I thank you all for participating and making the program successful. I request, thank you one and thank you one and all. I request Vasundhara to conclude this program by Shanti Mantra.
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Thank you.